Well, clearly we've been having a lot of fun with the Scorpio N outdoors, but now it's time to have some fun indoors with a global unboxing. Before we get to that, if you enjoyed our Tech Geeks perspective on that SUV and you want a genuine user experience, then log on to the Business Today socials, because there we'll tell you how we actually felt driving that car in all other aspects. If you need to make an informed purchase decision, then that's the place where you have to go. And now it's time for the exclusive unboxing of the M2 MacBook Air here on Tech Today. Let's unbox it. Evolution is a really cool thing. I'm smiling because I have in my left hand the M2 MacBook Air, and in my right hand I have the M1 MacBook Air. In 2020, if you told me this is what Apple's design language is all about, I'd be quite pleased. It looks good, it's slick, and you know what? It's a little curved on the edges. It's all right. But then all of a sudden, this is an exclusive on Tech Today. The M2 MacBook Air, it looks so much more rectangular, it's sharper. Honestly, it just looks like you've taken two iPads and you've put them together and sandwiched them together. I'm telling you, it's all about convergence. The day that this comes with a touch screen is when that smile will be even wider with 32 teeth. But let's get to this particular device. If you open it up, it is a slightly bigger display technically, because what they've done with the bezels is that they've given you now a 13.6-inch display. So it's a lot more vivid, 500 nits of brightness, and boy, there's a lot more under the hood as well. M1, M1 Ultra, M2 now, MacBook Air, MacBook Pro. If you're on the market for a new laptop, especially a MacBook, it can get very confusing nowadays. That's why we want to break it down for you. This, of course, is an unboxing and initial impressions video because we were so excited to share the MacBook Air M2 with you. But there'll also be a detailed review on the Business Today website and, of course, on the Business Today socials. But what's interesting about this is a 256 gig version. Of course, it comes with all the good things from the M1 and then a lot more as well. For example, a small bit on design that I find interesting. This, of course, is the Starlight color. Of course, there's a midnight color which is very popular, but I've heard that's a fingerprint magnet, so we've stuck to this one. But I'll tell you a little bit about Apple, and this gives you a good insight into what they believe design is all about and how colors can change your whole perspective on something as elementary as your daily laptop. Well, this being of one color, the Starlight color, this is the MagSafe cable, and it is back on the MacBook Air. Thank God for that. This MagSafe cable is blending in with exactly the same color. If you get the midnight version, then this would be midnight color. You get the space gray version, you get the drift. They've given you matching MagSafe cables, and that's a big deal in Tech Geeks paradise. The display, if you compare it to the M1 I was showing you earlier, is slightly bigger. This one gives you nearly 13.6 inches. That's because the bezels are a lot thinner, so it's a lot more immersive in terms of the display. Yes, in terms of technology, it's not very different. It comes with the notch, a lot like the new MacBook Pros. We had to get used to the notch. I don't think you should complain about this notch, although the earlier MacBooks just had a tiny camera punch hole cutout. But this comes in with a much better camera. For those of us working from home, this now has a 1080p FaceTime HD camera. That sounds very elementary in a world where we're talking about 4K, 8K and whatnot. But the truth is that when you're working from home, you're doing a Zoom call or a FaceTime call or anything, if you need to use this as your daily driver, as a productivity device, then you need a good camera. Also, it does help that this will soon come with continuity camera on the new macOS and iOS updates. So you can use your iPhone like I'd shown you in the earlier shows after WWDC. What's also interesting about this product is that it's quite light. And honestly, I love the design. I think this is something that you will quite fancy. You can see a lot of people sitting at a coffee shop or at a cafe and working on this. Honestly, it's getting nearly as nifty as my iPad setup. If I had a 13-inch iPad versus this, it would be almost the same form factor, except for the fact that I can't touch this screen. Now, the new M2 MacBook Air also comes with improved sound and a better microphone as well. It comes with a new quad speaker setup, which is quite neatly tucked in out there on the sides, and a triple mic array with beam-forming audio. Now, I haven't tested this on a Zoom call or a FaceTime call, but I'm guessing that that sort of tweak would again make your work from home experience a whole lot better. Let me add a small rider to that. This is a great productivity device. You can use it for all the usual tasks. Also some basic video editing, maybe not 8K, but for your basic YouTube videos. And when I send the producers pieces of this show, I can use this as well. This doesn't come with a fan, much like the M1, but their thermal management systems are so developed on their Apple Silicon, which is M1 and M2, that you don't need a fan on the Air devices. The Pros do come with a fan, but maybe that's because they think that's for more heavy-duty work. This does the job quite easily. There is a small caveat if you're in one of those sort of jobs where you need multiple screens, maybe video editing, maybe financial markets, some sort of research. If you need 2 screens, you can only attach the new M2 MacBook Air to one external display. So if that matters to you, well, you've heard it here on Tech Today. Well, so it's time for our verdict on our initial impressions video of the M2 MacBook Air. Now, it's a fantastic device, it looks great, a lot of new features, but Apple for some reason has kept the M1 still available on the App Store, and it costs nearly 20,000 rupees lesser than this. This starts at 1,20,000 rupees. This one is a little under a lakh. So that's the real question now. For most of us, 95%, maybe 99% of us, the M1 can do it all. It was well ahead of its time when Apple came up with Silicon on the M1, much better than most Windows laptops. And honestly, there are a few upgrades in the M2, but let's break it down for you. If you want the new design, it looks great, the new colors, a new sound system, a 1080p FaceTime camera, this comes with 720p, and of course the M2 chipset versus the M1 chipset. Slightly more technical things as memory and stuff have also been upgraded, and a slightly better display at 13.6 inches with 500 nits of brightness. That 500 nits is a crucial figure because it's a lot brighter than the M1 in practice. Then you should go for the new M2 MacBook Air. But if you want to save some extra bucks, then the M1 does it all. So I think that would make it a lot easier. But they call this one of the world's fastest selling laptops, the MacBook Air range. And honestly, just like we were showing you earlier with the Scorpio in a previous video, the new Scorpio really does live up to all the hype. And I think the M2 will also soon become the fastest selling laptop or the highest selling laptop in the world.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.